Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about love,
sex,
connection,
abundance,
joy,
purpose,
peace,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves.
So wishes are loose words that are just strung together by weak intentions.
Which is what? What do you mean by that?
Oh God, I really wish he'd call me. Or I don't even know people call anymore, so I really wish he'd text.
Why is that weak intentions?
Because it's not a real intention. It's just an expression. But we don't, is it maybe you want it? Or is it just because it's FOMO? It's very unclear what the motivation is behind it, which is what makes them weak. Do you really want to go to Greece, or is it because somebody looked like they had a great time and you want to have fun? You would.
Or do you really want him to call you? Or is it about that you just want to be sure that he's not gone anywhere?
Or do you just want attention from somebody and that's the closest person to you? We are not always understanding the underpinnings of our expressions. So wishes, again, they're the loose words because what are our intentions behind those expressions? Often when we say we wish, it's a very far off, unlikely thing to happen. If I say I want something, that's clearer. I have a strong desire for. When I say I want to go, if I tell my husband I want X, it's because I'm very clear that's exactly what I want. I don't say desire because, I mean, to me, if I desire, I don't love that phrasing, to be honest. I know
it makes you sound like a douche. I really
right?
desire it. I desire a sandwich.
I'm very desirous of, or I desire, I know I speak ridiculously, but even I don't even say that. I want is my very clear intention.
So I guess what you would call wishes isn't so much like the words themselves, but it's kind of when they're born from a fear of whatever, like either that we'll never have what we want, so why bother trying, or maybe we can like, you know, like I'll punt, why not, or I'll wish on a birthday candle or whatever. Passive participant area of our lives.
Precisely, because a lot of times those expressions are very passive. I'm not going to do anything to get there or to make it happen. I need this to be served up.
But can they come true?
Well, no. When we're expressing our powerlessness like that, they're not going to come true, to be honest. Because even if you get a piece of it, like I say I want to go to Greece, I end up at a Greek restaurant, you know? It's never going to taste as good as if you actually made it happen. Whether you magicked it or faded it or whatever. Everything that somehow feels right is going to come from an expression of power.
So why do people say watch what you wish for? Like, you know,
because you just might get it.
Yeah. Like, what's your thoughts? Like, what's your intentions? Like, because I definitely had, you know what? Pause, PSA, it's a moment about Rhea, but it's true. I had this for so long. Be careful what I think. Be careful what that's why people say let it go and, you know, be careful what you wish for. And if that crosses your mind, like my grandmother used to say all the time, like, don't say X, Y, or Z because you might just jinx it and it might happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a whole other thing. Sorry. I was like, when I was talking about wishing and whatever, I'm just talking about the power of intentionality is actually feels better and breeds more clarity. And the next thing, which is more meaningful than the actual object that you're desiring that shows up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because if you know that you created it, it's so much sweeter.
Yes. And you're going to be much more present and in the moment than if somebody were to give it to you. And you're like, okay, this is nice. It's really what I wanted or what I might have desired. But in the end, because I didn't bring it forth, and sometimes we do need other people to help us. Yeah, if it's something kind of big. But again, it's always intentionality. Now, there is that sort of watch what you wish for because you might end up getting it. And it ends up not being either because it ends up not being exactly what you want or it comes with a level of responsibility you didn't anticipate.
Like
because
a relationship.
Exactly. I thought I really wanted that marriage, but that became a lot of work.
But I still somehow really want it, so I'm going to stick through it. But I thought it was going to be the ending of the rainbow, but it turned out it was just the start.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, Liz is immortal, other words.
But with that statement, there's a fear that underscores everything. Like, watch your thoughts and intentions because they are that powerful. which we
Yeah.
know to be true. But at the same time, it's also bullshit because you're always going to be more powerful than what you fear, even if you do not believe it because you've chosen to believe your karmic story. But the choice in buying into and believing in your fear over your capability locks you into the self-prophecy cycle, right? Like when you're in your karma and you settle because you don't think you're powerful enough to create or handle what comes your way. And so it's like, I'm going to put this out there. And you've done this, right? Like and we've had this conversation about how you went through a phase where you were dismissive of your power.
Go on, explain better. Not better, that's the wrong word, more.
Okay. Do you recall, though, what I'm referring to?
I never really understood what you meant.
What a lot of people do, even post karma, is they grasp their powerful self and they're living, and this is really cool. But sometimes because they're so scared of how powerful they can become, or that how powerful they're being, that they end up dismissing it. They toss it out, as in they disassociate from their power. Managed to get all this stuff in my life, but now I'm going to toss it. It's not tossing the things, but what you end up doing is energetically, you're like getting rid of your power. I can't handle this.
It's scary. It's overwhelming.
It's not so much about the responsibility aspect either. It is just, it's so scary how much I can do. But then what happens is when they do that, is they have to turn around and they have to claw it back piece by piece. And that creates, it's not like karma where you're going and you're clawing back, putting yourself together piece by piece, but you're having to get your power back. And it's like, then you have to go around and figure out how to get it back. And it's just a waste of energy. And you're just kind of cycling through something that you don't need to be.
Could we have a more tangible example?
Bless you, Ray. You're being very polite to me right now. Okay, I'm going to do my best to give you a Ray example. You're going out and you are your glowing self. You're your love self. You've come out of your karma. You've gone through hell. You're like, I am unstoppable. I am capital L love, where I'm shining my light. I've got my purpose backing me up. So whatever happens, I'm cool. And you meet someone and it all starts to go out the window pretty quickly because you're not used to catching feelings, or you're just not used to the idea that somebody's going to show up time and again. So you're like, oh my God.
Where are they? When are they leaving? Oh, they haven't left. What? This is a lot. What does this mean for my life?
Exactly. Oh my God. And then it all goes out the window so fast. You're like, boom, I'm done. So that caring, compassionate, kind person that you had to walk through fire to get to suddenly disappears.
You become a bitch again.
You either become a bitch or you become really passive and withdrawn. And so what happens is you're not in your center anymore. Your power's gone. It's gone. It's gone the moment you went out the door. Like wherever you went, so did your power. And then you start acting and behaving irrationally, or erratically would be the better term, because you're not centered. You're not operating from your full body consciousness. You're just reacting to everything. You're reacting to all these surface doubts and insecurities that came up because you're like, I'm in this new space. That's what that starts to look like. Where'd my power go? And then when you start to realize, and you wake up 2 days later and you're like, who was she? That wasn't me.
And you have to apologize.
And you have to go around apologizing. You have to apologize to yourself. You have to kind of like maybe sit in it, almost like you did in your karmic reality, where you have to take 5 minutes and be like, okay, it's okay. I didn't know what I was doing. It was all new. You know what I mean? So.
And then how do you get your power back?
Again, you have to go and you have to sit in that moment, and you have to like be compassionate and realize what you really want, and you're cool with that person, and you'd be cool if they came back. And it's not about, oh, maybe I just need better boundaries. It's no, I actually just need more confidence. My confidence got shook because I didn't anticipate, because here I am just living my best life. I didn't anticipate if there was going to be a second date or a third one, or that this could actually be something else. Didn't see that one coming. Shit. Does that make sense?
I didn't appreciate that. I didn't anticipate I'd get what I wanted. So now I'm freaking out because what happens if I lose it? And then in the process, you lose yourself.
It's not so much about the idea of losing it. It's what do I do if it keeps going because I'm not used to that. I'm not used to consistency. That's me showing up over and over again, and I'm not used to using my power that way. I'm used to using my power in short bursts. I'm used to using my power in various ways where I can just go home and regroup. But here is somebody who's showing up every day, even in text. Where does my energy go? So rather than deal, I'm just going to like not deal and then, oh my God, and then I freak out. It's weird, but you know it's not karma because you can almost laugh about it at the same time. It feels serious for 2 minutes and then you're like, motherfuck. Because you'll notice. You always notice right away. Because you've gone so long with that power, with that sense of self. Whereas in your karma, you really don't have a strong sense of self.
How do you be consistent in your power?
Okay, well, Rhea, you're not going to love our answer, but you'll know because your purpose. Coming back to purpose time and again, because purpose is consistent. That is the one area in your life where you're going to be consistent.
No, I like that answer.
So,
because it grounds you, right? It grounds you, reminds you of who you are, reminds you of what you're doing, and then you can
and that
go
you're
back
probably
and spread
good
that
at
out.
it. Even if you're not the best, whatever, you're good enough at it that you want to keep growing in it. And so if everything else feels like a little off, that is the one area where it's not going to feel off. And then that helps you return to yourself. And then you just and then you can self-assess, okay, what did I do or not do that I could do better next time? Not in a mental way of let me intellectualize my behavior and plan A, B, C, because by now you can't plan things out. You know that now. You can't, because anything that's involving another person or is kind of person dependent, you have to be open to letting them show up too. And so you just have to keep showing up and figuring yourself out. And you need your power for that. So what happens, and circling back to, wishing, is that when it comes to wish fulfillment, we're having to, so when you're out of your karma and we're playing with magic, a wish fulfillment or an expression of a wish is almost like baby desire. I really wish I could go to Greece. Am I going to get there? Probably not this year, but at least it's out there and that's enough. But you're really not sure how to get it. Tickets to a concert that are really impossible to get or really expensive. And you're doing everything you can to figure out how to get there. Maybe it works, but not in the way in which you think it will. And sometimes what happens is, we can kind of fuck up in our magic because we're kind of coming at it from a place of doubt, right? A sort of faithlessness in ourselves. So when we're trying to magic something, but deep down doubt it's ever going to happen, that ends up becoming that self-fulfilling cycle. But at the same time, we're so powerful that we do have the capacity to override those doubts. That's what sometimes our conjuring or spells can end up creating if our intentions are, it's not just clear, but if we're not fully putting the full power of our intentions behind that.
Okay, so then my question comes, how does one put the full power of your intentions behind something? Because if I was listening to this episode, that would be the one question I would ask.
It goes back to the decisiveness. Decisiveness first will then breed clarity. Wishing is not making a decision one way or another. It's sitting in the realm of unrealized potential. I say, I wish I could go to Greece, right? Gonna circle back to that and see if I can make that one work again. Okay, well, I went from not even thinking about going to Greece to Greece is somehow a possibility. I think I can go to Greece next summer. Okay, now we've gone from possibility to a better possibility, not even a probability at that stage, but an even higher possibility. Oh, hey, now I have this work opportunity that's going to send me to Europe. Now I'm playing in not yet probability, but an even higher possibility. Oh, wow, this fits within my budget. Now I can actually start to make it work. And that's probability. It's not fate because we're still working towards creating something. So we've gone from potential to possibility to probability. Oh, I've just gotten the tickets. Okay, now your likelihood is even greater, but you're not on the airplane yet. Where does the magic come in? The magic comes in the moment you board that plane, and when you land, and you've never been there before, but suddenly things start to unfold because all of that movement that you've put and you've channeled to making that happen, and the energy, because you're excited, you've never been before. You love the idea of Greek food. You love the weather, you love whatever. Everything about it is representing nothing but joyful possibility to you. And you are coming from that elevated place of, I belong here. I knew from the moment somebody dropped the name and said it that I had to go and experience that for myself. So that's your knowing. And suddenly you're really then able to exist in a much different reality from the one that you've known. So the adventure begins. And then maybe you meet somebody while you're there who's like, yes, go check out this restaurant. Maybe you land yourself in a hotel that upgrades your room. Stuff like that then is enabled. But you need to go from that, oh, I wish I can make that happen too. I think I can. I know I can. Oh, wait, this is really working out. This is fun. That's how
Did you just explain magic?
I kind of
You just
did.
explained magic. We did it, people. And on 17, the magical number for me. I'm literally going to be like, this is all you need to know. Here's magic. No, wait. So I have a question. But then let's say you're in Greece and you meet the love of your life. Which one's fate? Which one's magic?
Well, meeting the love of your life is definitely fate.
But magic helped facilitate a nice trip to Greece rather than I got stranded on a boat and then ended up on Greece on an island.
It certainly facilitated the opportunity. Yeah.
And that's how that works.
Yes. Okay. So I just explained magic and I'm like really excited. Now I'm going to like put a pin in that balloon because I'm going to talk about how you can end up fucking up your magic.
Okay.
And this isn't the warnings and pitfalls. It's, as you said, how do you sometimes get your wires crossed where you're intending one thing, but something else ends up happening and you're like, what the fuck? That's not what the book told me to do.
It told me to go into my heart space. Where the fuck is my heart space?
There you go. Exactly. It's going to be super simple, but I think it's something that a lot of people do.
Okay.
You're making an intention on the full moon.
Oh, God, yeah.
A lot of people do that, right?
Yeah.
And they're, maybe they're listing all their intentions and they've set up a grid.
Well, they probably do it on the new moon because the new moon is anyway.
Okay. Is it a full moon? Yeah.
Get it
you're
right.
You're right. Because I don't do any of this shit. I'm like,
Get it right.
I'm like, where are we at? Anyway. Okay. So I'm going to give a really simple example.
Yeah.
Thankfully, guidance is like really coming through like in the half hour. They're like, well, let her waffle for like 25 minutes and then we'll just like come in and save the episode.
Yeah. They realized that you weren't going to get there alone and I was too busy listening. Out of character, I wasn't talking.
For a podcast episode, she's like awfully quiet. Where we're
really
supposed to be
listening.
conversing. New moon intention.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
you set up a grid. Maybe you crystal charge your water. Maybe you do a bunch of shit. And you set an intention. And intentions around the new moon are effectively spells.
God, I was a really shit spell setter during my intentions on new moon time. I would like to win the lottery. Never happened.
So you're giving an example of when these things don't work.
Oh, I'm doing a good job. Okay, fine.
You're doing a great job. Yeah. You're our example person. And I was waiting for you to give examples earlier and you were so quiet. I'm like, okay, fine. I guess I'll have to do that. Okay. So, and why is it? Why is it that you didn't win the lottery or other things didn't happen? Either because it's not in your fate and that's not something that you can't turn around and expect something from your fate through magic. You cannot magic something into your fate is the better expression. Sorry.
But if you really desire it, often it is in your fate.
Often, yes. But usually when it comes to these new moon intentions that people set, it's often stuff that's out of left field.
It's also FOMO, obviously.
A lot of it
often.
is.
Yeah.
A lot of it is. But it's also so much intention directed outside of you for things that aren't really for you. A bit like a birthday wish. I'm just going to put it out there because it's the new moon and that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
And also, let's say, when I was knee deep in my karma, let's say making a new moon intention about meeting someone. And we just did a huge lols earlier in the episode about what happens when you actually meet someone and what you do to your power, right? At that point, can you imagine what would have happened? So sometimes it's not necessarily, and I guess that's why time was one of the words in our thing. Like sometimes it's not necessarily about even what you're wishing for. It's also when you're wishing for it and we said this in the manifestation episode in season 1, and I never understood it. Sometimes it's not that your wish isn't being fulfilled. It's just you're on your way. And when you said you can't override your fate, is that you're not going to jump to point 27 if you're stuck on point 3. You've got to just keep doing the growing and evolving, as we said in the last episode, right?
Yeah.
Where
So
it's
if-
about evolving and moving forward and being the person who's ready to have those things and maybe not bolt out the door, lose all their power, and then end up self-sabotaging the whole thing.
So it's not to say that if you set an intention on the new moon, it will never happen. If you put a lot of power behind something, it may not be that the thing that you're looking for necessarily surfaces right away, as if you're able to conjure it. But what it could do is set you on a path to get it. Possibly, maybe, sure.
Yeah.
Because it is an expression of your power and the intentionality. But it could also be, as you said, you are sending so many mixed messages. Like, I think you shared with me a prompt at some point for like some kind of moon cycle thing somebody shared. And it was so much. It was a laundry list of things, this entire prompt.
Oh, yes, that
For
made me
this
laugh a lot.
Moon.
I was like, why didn't they add world peace to it? There's nothing else left.
Exactly.
Or
And I
was
thought-
world peace even in there, actually? It might have been.
I think it was probably couched in some of the phrasing because it was a lot. And a lot of the expressions were very lofty.
And then they threw and more at the end. I'm like, what's more? What's left?
That was already extra. And so you're like, okay, well, what are we even asking for? And so sometimes we really have to go back and understand that just putting a lot of shit out there is not necessarily how you get what you want either. Like, I'm just going to kitchen sink my intentions or my wish list, because at least then if I get one of them, then I'll feel like I've done something. So say you kitchen sink your new moon intention to the point, though, that you're asking for 2 different things, as in they oppose each other. To have one means you can't really have the other, because it just isn't logical. Like, it cannot be possible. If I get one of these, then I'm good.
Yeah.
But I'll ask for both. So what could end up happening, and this is just an example, I'm not saying this is exactly what would happen if you did this for your new moon intention, because most likely nothing happens with those things. So, but say for instance, you end up with both, but they're not exactly what you asked for, because energetically they can't exist or coexist. But when you're asking for 2 things that cannot coexist, neither are really or in your fate either. What happens is you can get a shadow of those things. And I don't mean shadow as in a dark aspect. I just mean a shadow, as in it's kind of there, but not really. So it becomes this rather weak form, and that's not very satisfying. Sometimes we come at it and we can intend for that because what we want, we're so afraid to get that we think, well, if I can at least have some form of it, it will be enough. Because I don't know if I could actually handle the real thing. So I'll just take that. And that's not necessarily settling either. Again, if this is magic, then it's temporary no matter what it is. But we have to understand if we're directing our power, even a fraction of it, towards things that are really not going to serve us, we're going to start to diminish our power overall. And that's where our power starts to go. And I'm not saying this to scare people. This is not
Is this
like
the
a,
dismissing
"Oh my
thing,
God."
or is it gone forever thing?
It's more of the dismissing thing, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Because by now the power is within you.
And it's just you.
But if you just keep dropping it, right? Like, okay, can't handle it, done. Then you don't get to experience it as a fully realized self. And your power is not a tool. It's you. It's you living, it's breathing, creating. So when you find yourself in that position of half-realized wants and desires, which we call wishes, your capacity for that sort of happiness, bliss, becomes quite stunted and quite limited.
And your faith in your own power also becomes quite stunted and quite limited.
Yeah, but that's almost doesn't even factor into it.
Interesting.
Because that's already, that was like an earlier step that was taken. Yeah.
But saying that, knowing what you just said about magic, then if it all feels a bit too much, then my logical brain says, have the intentionality of just the next step. You don't have to go for the big picture. It can be, I want to see that person again, or I want to spend 1 extra day in Europe, or I want to, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be the big Greece trip. It doesn't have to be the big relationship, even though that's fake.
Rhea, it's opportunity. I think we can distill
Exactly.
it into, I want this opportunity for X.
Exactly. And then from there, that experience you have, per the last episode about evolution and growth and time, etc., then from there, you can ask for the next thing, or the more possibility, or the more probability. Like, it's just build it step by step. Just how you come out of your karma step by step, just how you do everything step by step. If you do it step by step, then at least you also allow it to evolve naturally to where it needs to be, rather than where you think it's got to be as well.
Yeah, because as we
Which
said...
then, and avoids the freakouts.
Yeah, because you can expand as you go, and that's the point. Now, the reason we have to have this as its own episode again is because as magic becomes a bigger thing and understood as its own craft beyond basic witchcraft or other practices that people might engage with when it comes to magic, people are going to want to go big because they're going to want the miracle. They're going to want this sort of evidentiary experience to say, I can teach you this because look at what I've done. Or look at what I'm capable of, and therefore I've mastered this. So people are going to want to go very big with magic. And what we're trying to say is you can, but you have to watch what you wish for.
Yeah, because you don't want the mansion if you can't have the running water.
Thank you for listening. For more information, articles, and inspiration, find us at karmasmybitch.com and at karmasmybitch.insta.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.